welcome back to Class Inspirations. Today we're going to talk and touch on the subject of behaviour management in your class. Now I've gone through many different educational settings, from teeny tiny tots to Year 6 children, and there's so many different types of behaviour management that we use. So I thought I would display and chat through all the different ones that I've used in my career, and then maybe you could apply them to your classroom. I'll do the pros and cons of them so that you know the good parts and the tricky bits. So the first one I'd like to talk about is a peg chart. Now, this would be used as a whole class behaviour management, and what it is, the top would be the most wanted behaviour that you want displaying from the children. So here it says, I have been a superstar today. The blue one, I have gone above and beyond today. I am ready to be a respectful, responsible and good classroom citizen. Yellow, that's I need to slow down and think about my actions. And the bottom one, the red one, says I need to stop and reflect on my behaviour. Now this is a fabulous one because it's super colourful. It's not giving a negative aspect to a behaviour chart. There's nothing on here that says you have lost so many minutes, you have not done the right thing, blah, blah, blah. It just basically says on the worst case scenario, you need to stop and think about what you're doing. And everybody in the class has their name on a peg, and you would move the peg to where those children are throughout the day. Now, we all start off on purple, and depending on what happens at the end of the day, you would finish your day by talking about where people's pegs are, why are they there, what things need to happen because they are there. So for example, if you have a little girl and she's on our red one, you would tell her that maybe tomorrow she definitely needs to think about the things that's caused her to be on the red rectangle. She needs to stop displaying those. It might be not taking turns, it might be being mean to another child. So you need to have a discussion with the children on the red rectangle and talk about getting their targets up to the purple rectangle tomorrow. So this is a great one, as I say, for a whole class environment. I've also used this and shrunk it down onto a little format for the edge of the desks, and that's worked really well. And we just pop a smiley face, you know, the smiley face means the child, so we've popped that on there, and you move it up and down throughout the day. In a one-to-one basis, it's absolutely fabulous because as that child's moving onto the different colours, you have got that chance then and there to talk about maybe why we're on a colour we don't really want to be on, why we're venturing towards red, we're on yellow, let's try and get back up to green. So it's really good for one-to-one, I think, more than a whole school, because unless you have a teaching assistant maybe that you're using in your class that can talk to those individuals at the end of the day, it really does take a big chunk of your teaching time to manage this system. So there's the pros and cons of the PEG system. And you can download different versions of this off the internet. There's lots on Pinterest and things like that. The next one is reward charts. Now then, reward charts come in many different sizes, many different shapes, different subjects. So I'll just show you a few. And these I have got off the internet on web pages such as Sparklebox, Teacher's Pet, Teaching Ideas and Twinkle. So they're all there for the getting. This is a large one. This one goes from Monday to Friday, and it allows you to stick stickers in the boxes. We've also laminated this version and just used it to put black dots along there to say that they've got the target for that lesson. Or this one specifically is for getting 10 targets throughout the day, and maybe at the end of those 10 targets is a prize incentive, something like that. These ones are sticker charts, and they are smaller to fit on the edge of children's desks. And again, this one ranges from this one's a 5-star system, this one. So you've got to get 5 stars on these charts to get your incentive at the top. And then these ones are a simple sticker chart that you can use any form of sticker with, and there are numerous squares to fill in. So you could have maybe 3 a day if you've got a child who needs smaller steps in the behaviour management. That's a good one to start off with, building up to 5 stars a day, and so on and so on. We have also got a smiley face chart. Now these ones are really good if, as I said before, you're struggling with a child who's got very unique needs and he needs to, or she needs to really focus on a particular behaviour. So you could have a sticker chart purely for being kind to others, or helping around the classroom, or a social emotional need like picking a new friend, things like that. So they're great for that, and I suppose you could use those right down from reception to year 6. It's a little bit immature for year 6 children, but I'm sure you can get a different version to suit the boys and girls in year 6. This one is, I would say, more suited to Key Stage 1, and this is your smiley face chart. Now this is split into the sections for the lessons you have in a day in England. We have 2 morning, then you had a lunchtime, and then 2 afternoon activities. So the child would get a smiley face drawn on it for each lesson they've had well. Now then, I like it, but I don't like the negative aspect of having a frowny face or not having a face at all in a space. I think it's a really not a positive thing for a child to look at while it's sat on the desk, because and I know it's there to remind them to show that desired behaviour, but imagine that at dinner time they slipped up and they forgot the behaviour and they've got a frowny face. Well, by the afternoon periods, they're not happy, they're not bothered about those other 2 smiley faces, they've upset themselves by getting a frowny face. So it's got its good points and it's got its bad points as a smiley face chart. I've had them work and I've had them not work. So as I say, this one's off Sparkle Box, I believe, and it's ready for you to colour in. You can print coloured versions as well, but my children like to decorate theirs. We've also got themed sticker charts. So this one's superheroes, we have a very girlified one, flowers, beautiful, and then we have, I believe, a space one as well. Just some examples of the ones I've got off the internet. Now these ones are a nice size to stick around the classroom, so you could possibly have a notice board full of these for the individual children that they go and stick on every day. And actually there are 20, so it could be split up into maybe term, at the end of a term, have they got their 20 stickers, things like that. So they're free for you to decide whatever you want these to be used for. I really do recommend you having a stack of these sort of behaviour managements in a folder ready to go, so that if you know a child needs a tailor-made behaviour plan, you've got it all printed out. You don't have to sit there looking. You've got it, just pull out something that suits that child, maybe they can choose, and you've got it ready. The next one. This one is a target behaviour board. Now I got this, did I just stand on you, baby? Oh, I'm sorry, do you want to come up? Come to Georgia. Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, I just have to have this little man here today. He's very needy. Are we finished? You want to stay there? No? Where are we going? Sit down. Sit down. So this one is a target-led behaviour board, and they are specific targets that you need that child to meet. So for a whole class approach, it can get very complicated and time consuming, but for one-to-one children, this is a great one. And it's also, I've used this with children struggling with I've used this with children on the autistic spectrum, and this is a preferred method for them. They really enjoyed the order of it, the routine of knowing exactly which targets there are, such as managing your anger. Have you had some thinking time today? Have you taken turns today? Have you been polite? So we used to use this on the daily actually, and we used to print a new one off every day, and we would stick a huge smiley face sticker over the ones he'd got for the day, so that ones that were left we knew to work on for the next day. It's a really good one. I do recommend this, and it's nice to keep them to show how far your child's come as well, from the beginning of term to the end of term. So that's a great one, and that was from Teacher's Pet. So it's all done for you, ready. This is a special board chart, and what you do here is you put the children's names down the side, and there are 10 spaces. So throughout the day, that child has 10 times to impress you, and it could be simply by doing a really lovely addition sum. Think you're in foundation stage, so it could be drawing and labelling a picture of an animal, or helping clean up milk and snack time, and you give them a dot. So at the end of the day, the children are read out, and whoever's got the 10 dots gets a prize from the prize box. They're rubbed off every day so that the children can build them up on a daily basis. I don't like that. I think they should be rubbed off every 2 to 3 days, because some children, they're not noticed as much as others. So don't use this on a daily. Use it every 2 to 3 days and then wipe it clean and start again. The children also knew where this was. It was on a clipboard so that it could be brought to the teacher. They knew to go and pop a mark on it as well. So I highly recommend a special boards point chart. The children love it. The next one is a rock star behaviour system. Now this is a whole school, it would be a whole school initiative, and you would have to maybe check your policies in the school to see if it would support something like this. This is how to be a rock star. So you would have responsible, organised, cooperative, kind, safe, trustworthy, accountable and respectful. Now for Key Stage 2, this is superb. Key Stage 1, it takes a bit of understanding for them to realise they have to get all those targets instead of just displaying one piece of desired behaviour. But for Key Stage 2, when you want them to work a little bit harder, this is fabulous. And what it is, it's a sticker-based behaviour achievement. So you would print a group of stickers off. This is from Twinkle. So it's set up for a standard size of stickers, and they're all on there. All the specifications are on there, and it says I am responsible, I am organised, I am cooperative. So you would try and collect the 8 stickers a week. So you would maybe have your name. We used to do it where they had a picture that was laminated, and round the edge they would blue tack on one of these that was cut out. It didn't have its sticker on. They didn't have it as a sticker, they just cut them out and was given them. So they blue tacked it round the edge of their face, so we could clearly see if the child had the 8 labels for the end of the week. And then in rewards assembly they would get a certificate, and so many certificates in a term would equal a prize, an incentive, and it differed from a reward box to maybe extra playtime, things like that. It went down a storm. Key Stage 2 really worked well with this one. It's colourful, it's lovely, it's a little bit kitsch as well. Be a rock star, it's not just your normal behaviour chart. So definitely look into that one. I don't see too many cons with that one because the children loved it. The next one is what we call golden time. Now, I've been in schools where golden time's worked and where golden time hasn't worked. And what it is it's a time, an allowance of time on a Friday afternoon that's given to the children, and it can range from half an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, where they are given golden time activities. And they can range from cooking class to We Fit. We've had... what else have we had? We've had construction classrooms, we've had forest schools, we've had football with a coach, different things like that. And it's a full school initiative is this one. And online you can find lots and lots of different themed golden time charts. Now I've just picked one under the sea to show you. So you'd have this chap at the top and it says, excellent, you have earned all your golden time. So you'd have him right at the top of your chart. And then coming down from the lovely starfish are jellyfish. And they go down in 5-minute increments, such as you've lost 5 minutes, you've lost 10 minutes, you've lost 20, going down to your final time. Could be 45 minutes, could be 60 minutes. So you'd have the different jellyfish coming down on your board. And then the children would put their names in all these little individual fishes. And those fishes would again move down the chart to wherever the children have landed. The problem I found with this chart is it's got quite a big negative aspect to it. So imagine you're a visitor to the school and you walk into a classroom and instantly you see that golden time displays up on the wall, and the fish, none are on the jellyfish, They're all on, sorry, none are on the starfish, they're all on jellyfishes going down. And there might be quite a large number of children at the bottom where they've got no minutes left. It's very negative. It's the first thing you'd see in a classroom. The children are faced with that every day they come into the class. They might come in from a fresh day and really want to change their ways, and they're already on, you've lost 20 minutes for your Friday activity. And I found that a lot of children, when they went past, they'd lost half of it, stopped wanting to bother and didn't care that they were going to lose the rest of it as well, because they'd already lost half the golden time. We also reversed it where we earned the golden time as well, and that worked a little bit better. And we had to do that on a one-to-one situation where the child would earn 5-minute chunks to build up his golden time on the Friday, and that worked really well. He didn't ever get the negative aspect of it, you know, you didn't get time taken away, he could only earn it, so it was only a positive thing. So you can use it for that as well. But the other way is the traditional way to use it. But as I say, there are lots and lots of different themed golden time charts. You'd have to see if your school's down for trying it. I like the reverse method the best. That seemed to work best with the children as well, without that negative seeing your face and your label on that you have lost so many minutes. It's just not a great start to the day, is it? The next one. This one again we used for a whole school approach, and it's like traffic lights, except these are our mood indicators, behaviour indicators, and this is from Teacher's Pet. And what I did is I made every child, so 31 children, we laminated them and put a keyring on them, and they would have these on their desk at all times in the corner, so that if they were doing something that was undesirable in your class, you could just say, Daniel, flip it over to the yellow face, please. So they all started on green. You'd flip it to yellow. The child didn't get a negative order barked at them. They didn't get shouted at. There were no raised voices. They just simply understood that yellow is not the way we want to go. I need to stop what I was doing and try and flip it round to red. And more often than not, as soon as that child flipped it to yellow, within the next 15 minutes we said, Daniel, you can now flip it back to green, thank you very much. So it's a very positive behaviour management system, is this one. It's a little bit time consuming to make at the beginning, but once you've done it and laminated it, you can use that for every other class you have. They last forever, and it's a really nice one. But again, it's got its negatives. You walk into a class and there's lots of children with this red face showing. It doesn't give a nice vibe to the classroom, and it might give your leadership the wrong impression of how in control of that class you are. You don't want your head teacher or senior leadership to come in and think, why is all the children on red faces? What are you doing wrong? You could have just had a bad morning. The children might be tired from a school trip. There's lots of different factors, so just be careful with that one. But for one-to-one as well, that works wonders, as well as a whole class approach. The next one is a marble jar. Now this one's for an individual child. For a whole class I would get a much bigger one, like a kiln jar, and on it I would have different levels to be reached. So at the bottom I would have extra playtime, and you might need 20 marbles or 20 pebbles to reach that line, and then the next one might be non-uniform day, so another 20, and so on. And the children can earn these marbles doing very different things, and if you've got a whole school approach to it, it's nice to give other classes the marbles from a different teacher. It sort of brings the school community together, and it's a really nice thing to use. And it's always on display as well, so the children always have that positive, oh, we're nearly at that level, we can have a non-uniform day, let's try really hard to get those marbles today. Now to use it as a one-to-one, this is just a simple small coffee jar, and I just covered it in holographic stickers because the children changed. And what this was for is if I was running an intervention group, I would always have this handy just to set a child who perhaps wasn't giving me 100% attention or wasn't engaged as much as I wanted them to be in the lesson. I would just simply sit this in front of them and put maybe 5 pebbles at the side. They're literally pebbles in here, little pebbles, white ones. And I put the 5 pebbles at the side of them, and it became routine that the children knew if I gave them this pebble jar, they had to just think about what they were doing and they knew I were watching to give them those pebbles back. There were no shouting involved, there was no negative talking to the children. It's a simple positive reinforcement. So I really like using this, and more often than not the children would try so hard to earn the 5 pebbles that they put in it, which would normally equal like maybe a house point for their team, which we'll talk about later, or a smiley face on their class chart. So it would equal a bigger incentive just to help them focus. So a marble jar is superb, whether it's one-to-one or a class approach. I love this one. This one is a strategy for a full classroom, and I call these the quiet critters. Now normally they would have bobbly eyes on them as well, but they've all fallen off because they've been used so much. So new term, I'd put bobbly eyes back on them, and we used to call them the quiet critters. And what they are is to help you control the volume in your class. Now the children knew that when I went round and these quiet critters came out and was popped in front of a child, they knew their volume was too loud or they were chatting too much. So it didn't need negative reinforcement, it didn't need raising your voices, it was just a positive reinforcement, just to make sure that child knew that I'm watching you there, just quieten down. So the quiet critters came out, and they always lived on my desk. So I would advise, they're just pom-poms, and as I say, just stick on cheap goggly eyes and they become little critters. So there they are. Always had a jar of quiet critters around, and they work really well if you're being observed as well. So if you've got your senior management, or you've got say parents coming round to view, instead of hearing a teacher shouting, "Will you stop talking?" and really, they are horrible things to hear, aren't they, coming from a class. It's not what you want your children to hear coming out of a school that you potentially wanted to go to, and you don't want to embarrass. It is a feeling of embarrassment when you're shouting at a child and out comes a parent for viewing. There's nothing worse. So to just take those while you're being observed and pop one in front of your children, it's like a secret code. They know you know that they're not doing something that's desired. It doesn't need words, it doesn't need a conversation. They just need to know at the beginning of the year what those are, and when they come out, what's expected of them. So definitely get yourself a jar of quiet critters. The next one is, well, the next two, we all know what this is, fidget spinners, and this is my latest fiddle toy. Now I always had these in my teaching assistant kit because, again, if you've got those children who really struggle to not fidget or tap a pen and things like that, having a fiddle toy that they were allowed to play with, that you knew about, that the other children knew about, it's a great thing. So I used to have a box, and I'd call it I can't remember what I called it. It was a box clearly labelled something like fidget toys, and in there would be a selection. There was like squishy toys to press and things like that, and these. But they can be quite expensive. This one was about £15, and that's an expensive toy, whereas that one was about £2. And it's quiet and silent, and that's what we want. We want toys that don't make a sound. Whereas this one, I love it to bits. It was a hit with the children. But the loudest thing on there is a switch, which isn't too bad, but it could distract other children. So just be careful when you're buying your fiddle toys that they are quite quiet toys. But I was one of those children that doodled while somebody was talking to me, or I did fiddle with something so that I could concentrate on what that person was saying. It's just the way I am, and I know there's a lot of other children like that. So even though they're fiddling like this, I know they're taking in what I'm saying. And we used this with a child who had autism, and it worked wonders for him. Anytime he wanted to calm down, this is what he used. He used to go and sit on his calm down pillow, and he used to just twist and feel all the different things on it, and it was like a comfort toy to him. So it's a great thing to have. You can buy different sorts. As I say, there's a lot cheaper ones, but definitely get yourself a fiddle toy box, a fidget toy box. These are a way to praise the children. So it is behaviour management, because we want that behaviour to come off the children, but we also need to show how appreciated it is. And I know we've got incentives like reward box, which I'll talk about later, and things like that. But a really nice way to show the children you appreciate is to do a round of applause. But we know that can be loud and noisy. So when I was working in a particular school, they did applause different ways. So I jotted down the different ways they did it and created flashcards. So we have the Elvis applause on here, where everybody would pretend to turn a collar up, smooth their hair back and say, "Oh, thank you very much." And that's the way that we all applauded in the class. Or we had a marshmallow clap, which was literally pretending to clap a squashy marshmallow. So it was a silent clap, but everybody knew it as the marshmallow clap. I know I look crazy. Anyway, it works with the children. Then we had a yee-haw applause, where you would pretend to lasso around your head and go yee-haw and throw the lasso at whoever was being yee-hawed. So where I'm going with this is I printed them out and popped them onto a flashcard sort of a thing, so that children could come and dip in a bag and choose the way they wanted to be applauded by the class. So if they'd shown fabulous behaviour, they would be rewarded, as well as like at the incentive at the end, like your sticker chart, they would be rewarded with an applause from the rest of the class, and they would choose how they wanted that applaud. So it's just another tool, a whole class tool. My sticker bag and stamp bag. Now, it's absolutely jam-packed, is this, from happy face stickers to themed stickers for space to personalised stickers that people have bought me for Christmases. So it's got my name on there, and I especially love that when you personalise stickers, because when that child walks out of your classroom and they've got a sticker that says, "Miss Very thinks I'm marvellous," the parent has to ask that child, "Why does Miss Mary think you're marvellous?" And the child has to say, "Oh, because I did so-and-so wonderfully." So it helps that relationship, that cohesion between your parents and you, just go a little bit further. It's just a nice thing. And we've got certificates in here, and we've also got high fives. So I'll show you my high fives. And I found these when I was doing the who, what, where, the who, what, when, where, why, how hand for literacy, which you've probably seen on a different film. So I got a rainbow coloured handprint just off clip art, and in the middle it says, "Well done, you got a high five from Miss whoever." And the children who got these knew that whatever answer they'd given was amazing, or whatever they'd just done was amazing. The children love these. They're just a different take on the certificates that we give out. Super easy to make. You don't need to laminate them. Just have a stack of those in your bag or at your desk, and they're easy to give out. The last thing is a prize box. Now, the reward box. It's full of pencils, pens, rubbers, notepads, you name it, from little cheap shops like B&M Bargains to supermarkets like Tesco's when things are in for party packs. I put them in here, and it's just another thing to have on display that children will work towards. A lot of people say, "Oh, it's a form of bribery." Well, it's not, because children should be celebrated, and they want to be celebrated this way when they've done something good, or they've done something that really deserves an award. That's what the prize box is for. Some teachers fill it full of, I've seen ones full of chocolates and sweeties, and I've also seen one that was free rewards, such as a little card and on it says extra playtime, or go and have your lunch with a teacher, or even don't wear your shoes for a lesson. Some children like that one, or they get to sit on the gold chair in the classroom. Free rewards, but the children got to choose what they wanted. So it was a box like this, but they just had little packets. There were little envelopes actually where the children could see what they chose, and it's just a different way to get the behaviour from the children that you desire for that classroom. All different ways and means to implement things that will make your job ultimately easier, make the control of your classroom run smoothly, and obviously when you're being observed, it's a great tool to have, is all these different approaches to a child's behaviour. So I hope some of those help you in your classroom, and that you can implement some of them either with one-to-one children or as a whole school approach to behaviour strategies. Don't forget to like this for me, and then I'd like to do a part 1, part 2, part 3, and keep going with all the different ones that I find out that we've used, that haven't worked, that have worked. So if you give it a thumbs up for me, I'll know to carry this little series on. and also subscribe to our channel, and welcome if you're new. Thank you for stopping by. I hope you enjoy it. I hope this helps you in your classroom with some behaviour strategies, and I hope that it can be useful to you and the flow of your classroom or your one-to-one children if you're a teaching assistant. So thank you, and I'll see you next week. Bye.